Okay, so we've been able to connect essentially because it kind of took over at least a wrestling Twitter space recently that you were acknowledging my husband, John Moxley. He took his time off to go to rehab. You gave some credit to that, which I thought was so cool for you to take the time and do that. So much appreciated. It's always nice to get the love like that from somebody like you.
Well, I had that in my family. I had a younger brother who passed away, like at 40.
Oh, I'm so
So I'm
sorry.
very sensitive to any type of addiction because I know how it pulls at the family.
Mhm.
My brother Daryl, he's been gone a while now, but he tried and tried. He actually got his life together at the end, but he had did so much damage to his body,
Right.
his heart just gave out. But that I'm sensitive to that subject, and when I was reading the story. And like, you don't have any idea about my past. I've been in the I call it wrestling. I've been in
Rasslin.
yeah. So I've been in the business a long time. One of my best friends is Ric Flair.
Ric
I've
Flair's one of my good friends too. I love me
Yeah,
some Rick.
yeah, and I've known The Rock since he was in college. I've been to a gazillion matches, even going back to Birmingham, Alabama, where I grew up in a
Yes.
small town, going down to Boutwell Auditorium. And I'm going Four Horsemen, Junkyard Dog. So I've been in the business a long time. And obviously, actually, we did a promo last year with Chris Jericho
Mhm.
since we got back into business. And so I paid close attention to it. And it's been fun. When I saw your husband acknowledge, I was like, hey, because the thing you have to realize with any type of addiction, man, that I was thinking about this young Black girl, Miss America, who killed herself over the
Yes.
weekend. And
Awful.
I was thinking, like, and people have to realize that they're never by themselves.
Mhm.
Like sometimes all it takes. So I want to acknowledge your husband. And like I said, my heart was broken about that young girl this weekend who committed suicide, because you need people who like, hey man, hey young lady, you ain't by yourself, especially when you're in the limelight. Because I tell you
Mhm.
what, one thing about the limelight, it sucks a lot of the time, because man, there's some really mean people out there. There's some people out there who are just, I don't do any social media.
I know, and you're
Uh,
so smart for it. I have a bunch of questions about that because I wish that I could do that.
well, because like me, okay, like number one, I like to gamble, I like to drink, and if somebody said something to me when I was I was losing money or drunk, I I'm gonna go at them pretty hard, because I'm not one of those guys who's gonna turn the other cheek.
Mhm.
Listen, if you do something to me and turn the other cheek, I'm gonna punch you in that other cheek too. I'm not one of those guys who gonna be like, you know what, I
Yes.
forgive you. I forgive you. No, I don't forgive you. You started this. Now you're going to see the ramifications. Well,
It's
but
so hard to it is really hard because I'm on social media. I do feel the need and sort of the pressure to be on social media for my job to help promote blah 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 whatever. Social media essentially is a currency when I don't get to be somebody like Charles Barkley. I still have to use it all the time. But my husband's like you, where he doesn't use it at all. And what he's so much better offered. He's like, it's basically like as if you've given a bunch of random people your phone number and now they have this access to you to just tell you these horrible things.
what bothers me about it, Renee, is the fact that just because your life sucks, you don't have to go after other people.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because if you, my thing is, if you're successful, I've never said to myself, hey, you know what? Things are going good. I'm working hard, but let me go on the internet and comment on somebody else's life. But like, nah, man, if you're busy and you're successful, you're doing your own thing.
Yes.
But
Yes.
like, I've never felt the need, like, hey, let me drop what I'm doing right now and take a shot at somebody. It's like that, and that's what it is. It has become.
It is.
And
No, it's
yeah.
crazy and it's exhausting. I think that sometimes too, this is sort of an aside, but I had just hired this contractor to come in and paint our house. He did a terrible job, was late, he left early. I'm like, I'm gonna write this guy such a bad review. I can't believe how bad this was. And I still never did because like I don't
Yeah.
have time to. I don't have time to, and I don't care enough to. So when there's people that actually do have the time to just like go on and spew like hateful things at people, how do you like, yeah, go outside and touch the grass, call your mom, call your dad, reach out, like get a life.
They don't have a life. That's
No.
why they're such losers. I'm like,
Yeah.
but you know what? Let me sit around and look at the internet. And let me just harass somebody, first of all, who's probably successful. Because that's the one thing, like when you're successful, you have to accept the fact that, man, a lot of people, because their life sucks, they're going to take shots at you.
Yeah.
And it took me a while to learn, like, oh, I can't make everybody happy. And I'm going back to like 1986, 87, when I first started becoming a star. I was like, oh, okay. There's people who just don't like you, but they just dislike you because their life sucked. They ain't never met you. They know that you're good at your job, but I guess they feel empowered. Like, let me write something down. I says, hey guys, never gonna do the internet, no Twitter,
So
no
smart.
Instagram, no Facebook. Like,
would it bother you though? Did it ever bother you during your career if, say, a journalist or somebody, you know, wrote something out in print or somebody said something on television? Would that stuff get to you a bit?
Well, you got to understand that the television stuff is relatively new, where we have all these jackasses on television in the morning and they just give their opinion. That was way back. The first thing I ask myself when a guy write an article about me, you have to look at me and say, wait, well, I did play bad, so I really can't go at the dude. So that's the first thing.
At that point, though, right?
Yeah, that's what I tell every guy, because, you know, I talk to guys all the time. I said, first thing you ask yourself, is it true? And you can't get mad if a guy like, you did play like shit last night. What do you want me to get on TV and say you played great? Everybody just saw you. Because players and coaches call me all the time, which is fine. I'll explain. I'll explain why I said it. And they're like, okay. I said, I'm curious though. Why you never call me when I say positive stuff about you? I was like,
nope.
Because that's like, Renee, that's like my personal favorite. I can say 9 great things about a guy. He only calls me on the one bad thing I said about it. And that's probably the only time I get really pissed. I'm like, yo, man, I've said 9 great things about you, and you called me and questioned me on the one thing that was legitimate. And, but no, I don't worry. Like I say, the first thing you ask yourself is, a criticism fair? And I don't even mind criticism. The one thing I will never stand for, if a guy write a story about me that's not true, I'm gonna definitely call him out on that. You know, because like I always have this saying, I haven't done half the shit they said I did. Now, some of it, I'll raise my hand. I've done some crazy stuff. And yes, but like sometimes, like, yo, man, that did not happen. That's not true. Because that's the one thing about our business. Everybody has an opinion about you when you're in the limelight. And that goes from y'all business, that goes to my business, the NFL. Everybody has an opinion about you. And that's just how it is. I don't take it personally.
Yeah, no doubt. Did you ever have a hard time when you were breaking into the broadcast side of things? I mean, I know you've been doing it for so long now, and one of the absolute best to do sports broadcasting. Did you have any issues when you were first doing it, though, of being critical of players that you knew? Were you like hesitant of like, oh, I know I've been in their shoes before, or like
100%? Because I don't go to work saying a guy's gonna suck on television. I want all these guys, because I consider them part of my family. You know, I consider, like, I want them to do well. I want them to play great basketball. I want everybody to be safe and healthy. But listen, I still have to do my job.
Yeah.
If I always tell people, dude, that's the way this thing works. If you play great, I'm gonna talk bad about you. If you play bad, I'm gonna talk bad about you. I mean, it's good and bad. There's no in between.
Yeah.
And I say, and it's nothing personally either way. I said, but that's the way this sports thing works. Whether it's a newspaper guy, a television guy, if you play great, everybody's going to talk great about you. But if you play bad, they're going to talk bad about you. We're not doctors. We're not lawyers. We're not college professors. It's a very simple thing. If you play good, we're going to talk good about you. If you don't, we're going to talk bad. It's that simple.
So just don't suck. Don't suck and no one will have to talk any shit.
Hey, listen, let me tell you something. Hey, they know, because we've had guys say, listen, we on national television tonight. We on TNT. I'm not giving Charles or Shaq or Kenny a chance to say anything bad about me. Guys have said that in the interviews. It's like, yeah, I want to play well tonight because I know those guys in the studio are going to be killing me.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, it's good. You got to set the bar, set the precedent, let people know that that's what they get. Should they shit the bed during a game, then you will bring it up on the broadcast.
Hey, listen, as a fan right now, you think about this weekend, you see how they're just shitting all over Pat Mahomes. Like, and that's the thing. I mean, but hey, Renee, that's the way this thing is.
Yeah.
If he had won that game, we'd be talking about, oh man, he's gonna be the next greatest thing since sliced bread. That's the deal we make with, as I say, I had a friend of mine. We're playing golf this summer. Really great friend of mine, named John Spagnola. He played pro football for a long time. He had just gotten a couple new body parts. And I was like,
upgrade, tune it up.
Yeah, no, but he had a great point. And I said, would you change anything? He says, hell no. Is this a deal you make with the devil? Yeah. And that's kind of like when you play football, that's the deal you make. But it's kind of like being in the limelight. This is the deal you make with the devil. And it's just, as I always say, it beats working for a living. I always said that. I do. Amen. I says, hey, I do. I said, yo, man, them 9 to 5s where you work like 50, 60 hours a week and bless you for doing it, but you make some money. Like, I would never want to do that. I'd rather have people talking bad about me and make a lot of money.
Yes, 100%. Sign me up for that. What's your reaction to all this stuff that happened with Mina Kimes over the past week or so, of her being critical of Garoppolo, and then having Jeff Garcia, former 49ers quarterback, kind of chiming in saying, if you've never played the sport, you shouldn't be able to talk about it. I mean, I'm obviously paraphrasing because he went in. What is your reaction to kind of what he said? And also, I guess on her side of things, like being an analyst that has not played the sport. I mean, obviously you've worked with people like that as well. Yeah. What's your spin on it?
You know, it's a really slippery slope. Mm-hmm. For everybody to be talking about, because the notion that just because somebody haven't played a sport, that doesn't mean they're dumb and don't know anything about it. I mean, I don't think that's a fair thing to say about. I mean, because first of all, that'd be everybody. Yeah. I mean, 90% of the guys on television and on radio have actually never played in the NFL. But
I've never wrestled a day in my life, but here I am.
Yes. But, that's just the way this thing goes down. But I first of all, I thought that was his point. The thing I didn't like about what he said, I thought it was more sexist.
Right.
Just saying you're a woman. Like, well, you call out the dudes who have never played the game. Yeah. If you're going to call out the woman saying she don't know, she's never played a day in her life, I'm like, yeah, most of the guys on television and radio have actually never played. So I think the biggest problem I had with Jeff, it was more sexist. Because listen, I think a lot of people on radio and TV don't know anything about sports. Yeah. But that doesn't mean their opinion doesn't matter. So I think you have to be really careful saying you didn't play, you don't know anything about the sport. Yeah. I think that's the slippery slope I was talking about earlier. You have to be really careful saying you didn't play, you don't know anything, because you can learn a lot by studying and talking to people and things like that. And let's get one thing straight. It's not like we are reinventing the wheel or anything. It's a sport.
For sure. Everyone needs to lighten up and calm down.
I said, like, if you're in the service, you're an essential worker, you're a cop or a fireman, like, yeah, you can take yourself a little bit serious. But if you're just dribbling a stupid basketball around, calm down, buddy.
Calm down, pump the brakes. Yeah. So you have said that you plan on retiring by 60. What's the plan? What are you going to do?
Well, Renee, I've been in this thing. I'll be 59 years old in a couple of weeks.
Happy early birthday.
Thank you. And I'm smart enough to know that I'm on the backside of life, and I don't feel like working to the day I drop dead.
Mm-hmm.
And I think 60 is a nice round number. I've been doing this for 21 years, but I don't feel the need to work to the day I die. I'm gonna be a grandpa in 2 months, which
Oh my
is
gosh, congratulations.
thank you, which is officially means you're old. When you start going by the grandpa moniker, you are officially getting old. So
Mhm.
I'm gonna be a grandpa the first week of March.
That's awesome.
And I'm excited. You know, I got one kid. My daughter's amazing. Her husband's amazing. And I'm excited for this grandpa thing. But I think like I say, I'm basically 60 years old. I'm on the back nine. I play golf every day. So I'm like, yeah, I'm on the back nine somewhere. And I just want to enjoy the rest of my life. You know, I've been working for a long time, but
Yeah.
like I say, I don't want to drop dead while I'm still working. I want to travel the world. I got this game. We're talking about it. I'm gonna put a bunch of countries in a bowl, like places like
Ooh,
just a
I like
bunch of,
this game.
and then like I'm on 1 week a month. I'm just gonna pick a country and go.
That's
I mean,
great. Just leave it by the front door, pack your bag, and head on out. I
hey,
love that.
yeah. I'm like, okay, 1 week a month. I'm just gonna go to another country, and for the hell of it, just to have some fun. Say because I've been a lot of places. I mean, I've been a lot of places, but like, I'm pretty sure there's some other countries. I mean, there's a lot of other countries that I'd be like, hey, you know what? Let me go to Amsterdam for a week.
Mhm.
You know, let me go to the Dominican Republic for a week. You know, I want to do stuff like that.
Oh, that's so exciting. I love that. It's so nice to think of like what that's going to look like. So it's not like you're just going to retire and sit around and get bored. I'm sure you're going to be staying
No,
very,
you
very
only get bored.
busy.
Hey, you only get bored when you got stuff to do. When you can just make it up as you go, you never get
Yeah,
bored. People who have to do
100%.
people who have to do stuff, they get bored. When you can just make it up as you go.
Oh, what a dream. But I mean, if anyone's earned it, it's you. You've certainly earned that time to just pack a
Thank you.
suitcase and go wherever the hell you feel like
Yeah.
going. So with TNT, with Turner, you guys have wrestling back there, which is amazing. You said that you've watched it, that you're a fan of that. You guys also just got hockey, which is amazing. Have you got to talk much to Gretzky?
Well, I've talked to Gretzky quite a bit. Actually, my boss, I'm not, first of all, I want to make it clear. Wayne is his own man, his own man.
Mhm.
But when we got hockey, my boss said I was the first phone call he made. And I said, what you need, boss? He says, I need you to talk Wayne Gretzky into doing hockey. Because Wayne's been one of my best friends. He's a great friend.
Yeah.
He's been a great friend. And I says, does Wayne want to do television? He's like, well, I don't know. I says, all right, I'll make the phone call. And I made the phone call. And yo, man, I need to talk to you about something serious. And he says, what? He says, we just paid $1.5 billion to do hockey. We need you to do hockey. He's like, I've never done television before and I'm not looking for a job. I like, okay, that's a good, but like I say, let me rephrase this. I got to kiss my boss's ass and get you to take this job. And I did. He took the job. And another one of my good friends is Rick Tackett, who was one of my neighbors in Arizona, because they both were neighbors at one point. And he's on the podcast on the show. So my good friends have really come through for me. And they tell me they're doing a fantastic job. I mean, I watch it. Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like TNT, you guys do such a good job over there of taking sports and taking sports figures and letting you guys just be you and let that be fun. I think that Paul Bissonnette is a huge attribute.
He's great.
He's so good there. Oh my God. I
Yeah.
was so happy that they hired him. I feel like he's that little bit of spice that they need to keep things nice and loose and fun. And there's nothing more fun than just watching people that know the sport, enjoy the sport, and just get to talk about it as the pros.
Well, Bissonnette's great. He's actually one of my neighbors right now. He lives out in Arizona with me. But you know what TNT has really done, Renee? You have to understand something. Okay, so my normal night, we're on from 7 to 2 in the morning. So when you do basketball and hockey, it's a long ass night.
Yeah.
And I think one of the reasons our show's been so successful is nobody want to talk about basketball from 7 o'clock to 2 in the morning. So we try to make it as much fun as possible. Like, because you got regular basketball fans, but we're trying to get people like yourself, more women involved, older people. So TNT has given us, and like I say, this is my 21st year. They're like, when I first got here, like, man, we got to have more fun. I mean, because people are not going to watch from 7 to 2 in the morning if all we're doing is, hey, this is how you play the pick and roll.
Nobody wants the X's and O's.
Yeah. I mean, we could, because we could actually X and O them to death, but nobody wants to sit there and listen to that from 7 to 2 in the morning.
Like, I want to hear you guys talking about churros.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And so you got to give our creative, our staff a lot of credit. Like, no, you guys have fun. When we need to be serious, we'll talk about basketball. If there's some issues come up, we'll talk about that. But the main thing is y'all make sure people enjoy watching basketball. And we have done a really good job at that.
What is it about you and Shaq that just makes your chemistry so charming and magical between the two of you? Can you put your finger on it?
First of all, he's awesome. And he's got thin skin. And I'm old school. And old school, if you know something bothers somebody, you got to keep poking the bear. And he gets so mad at me sometimes because, I'm going to keep poking the bear. That's because that's the best thing about sports, being in the locker room, on the bus trips, on the plane trips.
I feel like you guys have recreated that in a studio atmosphere.
We've heard that before, and that's pretty much true. I totally agree with that. Renee, when you're on, like I say, when you're on a 4-hour, 5-hour plane trip, when you're going east to west, if you're not having fun, it's crazy. Like when I played for the Six, we bus to New York, DC, and New Jersey. So you're on the bus for 2 hours. It's kind of quiet before the game to a certain degree, but after the game, if you win, it's 2 hours of mayhem, and that's what one of the coolest things about it. So we have tried to recreate that. So that's a great point by you.
Yeah, no, it is really cool to see. And I feel like even for you guys, I mean, to be athletes for so long, playing at the caliber that you did, I'm sure that kind of scratches that itch for you guys as well. I mean, when people walk away from the sport, they always say it's the thing that they miss the most is that locker room atmosphere. So it's cool that you guys still get that to a degree. It's fun to watch.
Well, we try to make it fun. Like I say, we want people to have a good time watching basketball. But I'm going to say this, ain't nothing like playing. Let's get that out the way. There's nothing like playing. I mean, because it's such an amazing feeling to be, number one, be really, really good at something, but also the people you play against. Like, in my day, it was Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, Michael Jordan, Karl Malone, Patrick Ewing. And when people talk about the greatest ever, people, first thing they talk about, they're like Michael, Magic, Larry. Those probably the three most important people in NBA history, in my opinion, because Magic and Larry saved the NBA. And then Michael took it to a whole nother level, kind of like Arnold Palmer and Jack Nicklaus in golf. And I don't want to disrespect the great Gary Player. And then you had Tiger, who took it to a whole nother level.
Right.
And, but man, it's been so amazing. I mean, every time I'm watching old footage of these guys, I'm like, yeah, I played against Bird. I played against Magic. I mean, so it's been a really crazy, amazing journey.
And you hate the debate of Jordan versus LeBron, correct? You're sick of it?
I think it's because I think it's lazy. I mean, Michael's been retired for 100 years, and why are we trying to worry about him against a guy today? I mean, I just think that, because that's the one thing you got to understand. A lot of these guys are just they do radio. So as a friend of mine said, who's a famous, a friend of mine who's a famous radio guy, he says, Charles, my only job is to get these fools to call in and argue for 4 hours every day. That's my job. And I said, what? He says, dude, that's the way this business works. I got to be on the radio for 4 hours every day. I just kind of come up with a subject that these fools gonna argue with me for 4 hours. And it's very interesting. And that to me is like, you're gonna get the old people calling in to defend Michael. You're gonna get all the young kids calling in to defend LeBron or throw some Kobe in there.
Yeah.
Then some of the older people are gonna throw Kareem in there. But I just think it's lazy. Michael was the greatest I played against. I got a lot of love and respect for LeBron. He's a great, great player and an amazing man. All the stuff he's doing off the court, especially with the Promise School back in Ohio.
Yeah.
So I just think it's a lazy debate. It's just lazy. The guys didn't play against each other.
Sports completely different.
Yeah, it's totally different now.
Yeah.
I mean, I tell you, Renee, when I was last year, when that last dance thing came out, I was saying to myself, holy shit, they almost killed Michael back then. Yeah. And then to see the way the game is played today, where a kiss on the cheek is a foul. It's like night and day what I'm dealing with. I'm like, right. Did y'all just see this dude almost get killed playing the Bull when they were playing the Pistons? I mean, it took him 4 years to get past the Pistons. They beat the hell out of him 3 years before he finally got over the hump. Yeah. Like I say, LeBron, who's amazing. I mean, you breathe on guys hard today. They're like, that's a foul. I mean, but that's just the way it is.
How was it for you watching The Last Dance when it all came out? I mean, that really took the world by storm. And like those early quarantine days, people were like, oh my God, great. We've got something awesome to watch. How was that for you to kind of take a little walk down memory lane?
Well, it was always great. It was great, great going down memory lane. So I think I got to like episode 5 when they beat us for the championship. And I was like, oh shit, that's a bad memory. But it made me realize how much Michael went through, because, a lot of these guys today don't want to compete. They all get together, and that's annoying because I'm one of the old get off my porch guys. I hate to see all these guys play together instead of fighting through like a Dirk Nowitzki did and guys like that. But to see what Michael went through to get through the Pistons, and just, no, we got to get better. We got to get better. We got to get better. I wish a lot of these young kids could learn that instead of saying, hey, you know what? No, I need to go and join my friends so we can build these super teams. Yeah. But it brought back some great memories, at least until I got to like episode 5 or 6 when they beat us for the championship. Yeah. But other than that, it was great. It brought back some great memories.
Yeah. Okay, so taking things back to Shaq really quickly. What did you think of Shaq stepping inside of a wrestling ring and taking bumps? This man's crazy.
First of all, that's a perfect word. This dude is crazy.
Crazy.
He's got that great personality. If he were to go back, his body probably can't take the abuse today. But with his personality, he's one of the most fun people I've ever been around. First of all, he's a really hard-working dude. I mean, he's on every commercial.
Oh my God, what is he not selling right now? It's crazy.
Hey, listen, it's just a matter of time before we start doing a Depends commercial. It's just a matter of time.
They got the big bucks over there. Get that Pampers money.
Yeah, I know he's turning 50 sometime in the next couple of weeks, so he's close to Depends. It's just a matter of time. But he's a great businessman. He does a lot of stuff, clearly. But with his personality, if he really had wanted to do it like 25 years ago, he would have been great.
He would have been a huge wrestling star, no doubt.
Yes.
No doubt. I have actually never been so excited in my career. We had WrestleMania in Dallas. I was hosting one of the pre-shows, like way up in the stadium, and Shaq came out it was like a battle royal at the kickoff show. I've never hauled ass so fast as I did to run all the way down. I'm like, let me do this interview with Shaq, please. Because I was like dying to see him finally get into a wrestling ring. I thought that we were going to see Shaq and Big Show, which we never got to see that, but we still got to see Shaq.
And the first thing you said to yourself, man, he's a lot uglier close up than he is away. I know that's the first thing you said to yourself.
To do an assessment. Well, there's a lot of like looking up. So it was a lot. I was just like, I had the different aspect.
Is he not the biggest human you ever seen in your life?
Massive. And I'm around large men all the time, but that's to a different scope. It's crazy.
I tell people all the time, I played in the NBA for 16 years and I played against a Mark Eden, rest in peace, Mutombo, Alonzo Mourning, guys like that. When you see Shaq in person, he's the biggest human being you're ever gonna see.
And it's no wonder that everyone like, I feel like people just want Shaq to hold them like a baby. Like, I feel like that's such a thing. Actually, Mark Henry, a big wrestler as well.
I know Mark Henry.
Mark's the best. I've never had an experience like I was with Mark at South by Southwest, and he is just such a massive human. And people just want to touch him all the time. And
Mark Henry is probably like 6-7 inches shorter than Shaq.
He's much shorter than Shaq. Yeah,
yes. They both got humongous bodies, but Shaq is like 6-7 inches taller. Yes.
Yeah. Much bigger. But I've never seen someone deflect humans' hands on their body the way that Mark does, in like a very graceful way. He doesn't like make you feel bad about it, but like everyone's trying to hug him, jump on him, and he's just like deflecting people left, right, and center. So I imagine Shaq has to do a very similar thing all the time.
No question he does, because everybody loves Shaq.
Yes, very lovable. Okay, so you were talking about obviously being, a great athlete and playing a sport, and that you missed that. We know what a great golfer you are, what a great golfer you have become. What was it like for you transitioning from the bad swing into what you have now? I mean, it's pretty miraculous.
It's been a traumatic, probably 20 years for me, because I used to be really good at golf, but the last 20 years I really sucked at it. What really happened is my brain froze up, because I was really a good, solid golfer, but I started taking lessons from every Tom, Dick, and Harry in the world. Mm-hmm. And before I knew it, I was hearing voices. I mean, when I'm standing over a golf ball, I had like 10 guys talking to me, and my brain just quit. It's like, I've had enough.
Yeah.
And so for 20 years, Renee, I quit playing golf, except unless it was a friend of mine wanted me to come embarrass myself and play in their golf tournament. Because, it's a great way to raise a ton of money for a charity. And so I would play probably 10. I went from playing when I was really good in the late 80s, early 90s. I was a good player. And then I started taking all these lessons. What really happened was I got traded to Phoenix. And I realized like, oh shit, I'm a good player. I need to get a lot better if I'm gonna play out here with these dudes. Uh-huh. And like I say, I started playing, taking all these lessons, and I just got totally whacked out. And then about 2.5 years ago, I was playing in Tom Lehman's golf tournament, and I met this guy named Stan Utley, who played on tour and who's considered one of the best teachers in the world. And he said, Chuck, why don't you let me work with you a little bit? And I'm like, Stan, I've given up. I only play a couple charity events a year. Mm-hmm. I work with everybody in the world. He's like, well, why don't you try it with me? If you don't work with everybody else, it's not going to hurt you. And I said, hey, good point, Stan, good point. And I started working with Stan, and he said to me, hey, I know what happened with all the voices in your head. Just listen to me. Just listen to me. Mm-hmm. And we hit balls for a couple of hours. And he says, when I'm talking to you, I want you to just think about what I'm saying. Don't worry about what this guy said. He's just listen to my voice. And then in the last 2 years, I'm probably playing better than I ever played in my life. I'm not as consistent as I want to be, but I'm really, I've been to hell and back, Renee. I've been to hell, and it's just a great game.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
No, it's cool. It's interesting because you don't always just like assume that like every athlete's just like kind of gifted across the board, but to actually put in that work and figure it out, I think is really cool. It's like humbling, I would say, right?
It frustrating and humbling. But I will tell you this: you got to understand something. Golf is made for people your size,
right? Right.
I mean, I play with a lot of pros, and they're all like little short dudes.
Yeah, you must have had to go get like really custom clubs done, right?
My clubs are pretty much standard because I got really long arms.
Okay.
But most of those dudes about this tall, and the taller you are, the harder it is to hit the golf ball.
Yeah.
And it's kind of crazy because you would think the bigger you are, the further you can hit the ball, but it's actually the opposite. Those little dudes can hit it a lot further. So I'm just glad to be back out there playing again. But man, it's been so frustrating the last few years trying to deal with this thing. I mean, it was really frustrating for like 20 years. Like,
Yeah.
this is because nobody wants to suck at anything.
No,
okay?
it's the worst. It's very upsetting. I hate when I'm not good at something.
And like I say, and first of all, as old as I am, I can't do anything but golf and fish. I mean,
that sounds lovely though. Like I would like to go do those, especially fishing. The idea of fishing sounds very like I've romanticized the idea in my head that I would love to be a fisher at this point.
Well, the reason you golf and fish, that's the only two places you can get peace and quiet.
Yeah.
But you have to understand something. When you're famous, when you go to the supermarket, people want to talk to you. And they're like, no, I actually came here to shop, but clearly you want to talk to me while I'm trying to shop. You go to the dry cleaner, people want to talk to you. I mean, there's not a lot you can do publicly when people like, and first of all, I think you should always sign autographs and take pictures. I think that goes with the territory, but it's annoying at times. Sure. But when you go play golf and you go fishing, those are the two places you can just hang out with your friends. There's no autographs, no pictures. Y'all just having fun. Yeah. So that's why I'm addicted to those two things.
What was it like when you and Jordan would golf together?
Well, you have to kind of, it was expensive. It was fun. We had a lot of really, really, really fun times on the golf course because he's very competitive. I'm very competitive. He's a better player than I am. And that's been a really frustrating situation for me, to be honest with you, because we don't play together anymore.
Yeah, that's very annoying. Yeah, it's is there another sport that you wish that you could have excelled at?
You know, all the sports, well, I played football one day and I quit because them dudes are crazy for being out there.
Yeah.
I wasn't tough enough to play football. I think like it worked out great for me as far as basketball because the notion that everybody's going to be good at every sport is not really true.
Of course.
That's why that's what I tell kids when I speak to like in Paris. And I said, well, how many sports they play? Like blah, 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 blah. I said, you know, you should let them play all the sports. They'll figure out what they're good at.
Narrow it down.
You can't like say, I want my son to play basketball. I want my son to play football. I'm like, well, maybe they're not big enough, strong enough, fast enough, or maybe they just don't like it. I mean, let them play all the sports and they'll figure out, number one, the most important thing, what they're good at. But the notion that you can just train your kid, he's going to be great at a sport, I think is a misnomer.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, I know. I have a daughter now and I'm like, oh, what's she going to be good at? What am I going to put her into? You never know. She might not like any of it and just wants to do science and math. And at that point, I will have to check out and hire somebody else to help.
Welcome to my world. So it's so funny you say that because I have a daughter. She's the most amazing thing. Great kid. I'm so proud. She's a really smart, went to Villanova and Columbia grad school. She's really smart, but she's had a great body since she was like 5. And you know me, like, oh my God, I'm gonna have the best woman basketball player in the world. She's gonna learn from me. I says, she's 5'10", 5'11". She was that age at like 10. And I'm like, are you ready to play sports yet? No, Dad, no. Then finally I talked her into it and I put her in basketball. She hated it. She said, Dad, I don't want to hurt anybody. I said, that's the objective. That's the objective, to kick their ass. She said, I'm bigger and stronger than everybody else. I said, yeah, that's a bonus. That's not a negative. And then I says, Christiana, you don't like basketball, do you? No, Dad, I don't like basketball. I said, all right, that's okay.
That must have been a big day for you, though. That must have been really heavy.
Well, after I told her to go to her room, I just sit in my room and cried for like 2 hours. You know, it was traumatic because so then I was like, okay, let's try volleyball. She tried it, didn't like it. soccer, and I think maybe one more lacrosse or something.
Okay.
And then finally, after trying, I said, "Hey, can I talk to you?" I says, "Do you like sports?" She's like, "What do you mean, Dad?" I said, "I need you to be honest with me. Do you like sports?" He says, "No, Dad, I don't like sports." I said, "Well, I tell you what, I just want you to be who you want to be. You don't have to be Charles Barkley's daughter. I want you to be the best version of you." She said, "I really like school." She was a straight A student. I said, "Okay." Like I say, she ended up eventually going to Villanova and Columbia grad school. She's a really smart person. But that was traumatic for me. I mean, because I think all jocks want their kids to follow in their footsteps.
Of course. Yeah, because you picture when you know you're gonna have a kid, you're like, okay, at some point you're gonna be able to attend the games and maybe you're gonna coach a little bit. And you get so pumped for, like, I know for John, he's been so excited to have our daughter, to like take her down to some wrestling mats. I'm like, my kid's gonna have ringworm by the time she's 3. I'm gonna be battling all these different issues. Who knows what's gonna happen on these gross ass wrestling mats? But she pictures her being like this little mini Ronda Rousey. I'm like, I don't know if that's gonna happen for you.
Well, I've known these guys forever. Tell her to pick an easier profession.
Honestly,
I tell my friends, like, wrestling, football, maybe even hockey to a certain degree. Like,
hockey
those,
can be
like,
brutal on the body, which is
no
what I would want
question.
her to do. I'm from Canada. I'm born and bred on a hockey rink.
Where?
Toronto.
So I love Toronto.
Best.
Toronto's one of the best kept secrets in the world.
Agreed.
I got some friends who live out in Mississauga.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, and one of my really good friends is a famous sportscaster up there called Rod Black.
Okay.
Rod's a really good
Yeah.
friend, and I know Christine Simpson, that she's a hockey lady, that
Yeah.
hockey girl. So and Toronto is my favorite city in the world. My 2 favorite cities are Toronto and Chicago. I talk about them on the show all the time.
And they're very similar, Toronto and Chicago. I feel like they've got the same kind of vibe to them. They're good, clean cities, plenty to do, awesome neighborhoods, so diverse. I love Toronto. It's the best. Oh, go ahead.
I tell people Toronto is just a clean New York. That's the way, with nice people.
You know what I will say is also an underrated city is Birmingham, Alabama. I actually quite like Birmingham. I feel like it like flies under the radar a little bit.
Well, I have no choice because I grew up right by there. So I grew up in a small town about 15, 20 minutes outside of Birmingham. So to get anything done as far as eating and anything, you have to go to Birmingham.
There's good food in Birmingham, though. There's some really good spots.
Oh, yeah. What? The South is got great food everywhere. And Birmingham, to me, is a really important city because of the civil rights history and things like that. So I actually just opened my, what's not true. I bought a distillery in Birmingham, Alabama about 2 or 3 years ago. We do vodka and gin.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I bought a Redmont vodka and Vulcan gin. I bought a distillery in Birmingham about 3 years ago. And we just went to our 17th state. And I'm really, really pumped about that. So, because I wanted to own a business in Birmingham.
Yeah.
And I had been trying for like the last 20 years, and this distillery thing came open, and I'm like, yeah, let me do that. And so I did. I bought it like a couple of years ago.
Oh, that's so cool. John had rehabbed. He had done, he tore his tricep and he had his surgery and rehabbed out there. And we were out there for about 2-3 months. So we really got kind of the lay of the land of Birmingham. I thought
did he go to UAB or Health South over there?
Oh, I want to say UAB.
Yeah.
I think it was Dr. Dugas that did it. He did a great job and got John good and healthy. But we spent a bit of time down there and I thought that it was really awesome. Okay, I know that we're running out of time here, but I would like to talk to you about a little bit of romance because you've been married for forever. What's the secret? You guys have been married since 1989. Break it down for all the masses. Give me the goods.
Well, number one, I'm gone a lot. That always helps.
True. Sometimes it does help. I'm like, can you get out of the house? Don't you have a tour to go on?
I think the main reason is she accepts me flaws and all. Like, this thing is so hard because the one thing about being in the limelight, people only look at the good stuff. It's a lot of crap that goes on behind the scenes. And I used to take it home all the time. I don't want to take it home anymore. It's losing is very frustrating. Being a full-time babysitter is very frustrating because that's what it is when you're on a team. Like, you're plugging holes everywhere. I mean, you got jealousy. It's a lot of stuff that goes on especially when you're the best player on a team, because you get too much credit, you damn sure get too much blame. So you're plugging holes all the time. So I think the main thing is she doesn't judge me. She accepts me how I am. She's a great mother. I have learned that I want to be a great father. I want to be a great father. My father passed away a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, I'm so
And
sorry.
thank you. And we did not have a great relationship my entire life. We reconciled later in life and became friends. But I really want to be a good father. And I've really worked hard to do that. Because listen, it's hard to be gone all the time. It's hard to be gone all the time. And I wouldn't change a thing because it's given me so much in my life, but it's hard. But like I say, she sets me flaws and all, which is, and the thing I always tell people, man, ain't no perfect people out here. You get judged a lot when you're in the limelight, but ain't no perfect people out here. I mean, we all got flaws. We all want to do some things differently. And I always want, David Carr, the quarterback of the Raiders, I talked about, me and Ernie have a podcast. And I write down stuff throughout the week. We got a thing called First of All, because apparently we joke on the show. I say first of all multiple times, and I never even get to the second thing. So we came up with the first part of our show is called First of All, and I ramble off about, actually when I was talking about your husband, I ramble off about 5 or 6 things that happened in the world I want to talk about. And I was watching television one day, and David Carter, Raiders quarterback, his teammate had just killed that girl in Las Vegas.
Yes. Yeah.
And he says, guys, I want to pray for that woman's family. I just want to wish them the best. But I tell you what I want to do. I want to have some grace for my teammate. And I said, oh, expand upon that. I'm sitting here watching the TV like he can hear me. He says, I really feel bad for that young lady, but I'm going to give my teammate some grace. He's 100% wrong, but I'm not going to pile on. And I was like, and I talked about that. I says, I never want to be, and that goes back to all those assholes on the internet we were talking about earlier. I never want to be one of those assholes who pile on. People know when they made mistakes and done things wrong. I want to be the guy like, you're wrong. You admitted you were wrong, but I want to give you some grace. I want to be that person. That does not mean I'm great, like I say, but I never want to be that asshole like, you're down, let me kick you while you're down. I never want to be that person. Whether I'm on TV, whether I'm Zooming with you, whether I'm on television, my job, or I'm just walking down the street. I don't want to be that person who pile on. That just makes you an asshole, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You're right. Yeah. And it's, people always just feel the need to say something one way or the other, right? No one can ever just like not say something.
Yeah, but to me though, if you're gonna say something, be positive. But if you're one of those people who just have to be negative, to me, I'm not just saying this to you. Wait a minute, you're just an asshole.
Yeah.
Like, why do you have to say, shut the fuck up, or give somebody some positivity why do you have to be negative? That's my point. I'm like,
people like the doggy pile for sure.
Yeah. I was like, are you serious right now? You had to say somebody's already down. How low of a person do you have to be to really pile on?
Yeah.
Just don't say anything.
For sure. I know.
Yeah,
if it could only be so easy, right? And for some reason, everyone just like it's just such a cesspool of people wanting to jump on and say negative shit all the time. It's
and you have to look at yourself in the mirror if you're one of those people like, why did I have to do that?
Mm-hmm.
You know,
yeah, I wonder if they ever feel remorse for that, or like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have, maybe I should delete that or not talk about that.
Yeah, I would never like, oh man, somebody's down, let me stomp on them. No, that just like, no, I never want to have that thought press in my mind.
I'm with you, Charles. Okay, my last question before I let you go, a football question. We got the Bengals, we got the Rams. You're a betting man. What are you thinking?
Well,
I live in Cincinnati, by the way. I'm just putting that out there.
I just want you to know, I love Aaron Donald. He's just great. Mm-hmm. I love Joe Burrow. Because I just think it'll be great for Cincinnati. Yes. They've been down so long. It'd be great. Joe Burrow, I never met him, but man, does he seem like a great kid?
Yeah, he does.
But I think the Rams are going to win the game. That's just my personal opinion. But let me tell you something. If Cincinnati wins, I think it'll be great for sports because they've been down so long.
Yeah.
But when you got a guy like Aaron Donald, who you saw him just trying to get his team ready, and all he's thinking about is trying to get that championship ring. So, like I say, I'm probably leaning toward the Rams.
Okay.
I am.
Breaking my heart here, but I get it. I understand most people are kind of leaning towards the Rams for this, which just fuels our fire a little bit more. We'll take it. I also say this. I've literally lived in Cincinnati for maybe 3 months and I've just jumped on the bandwagon. But it's okay. I'll wave that flag. I'm here.
Hey, listen, that is home. So you're good.
Yeah, it's home now. Okay. I lied. I do have one final question. What was tougher, the Dream Team practices or the Space Jam pickup games?
Wow, that's actually a great question. The only reason it was the Dream Team, is because everybody on the Dream Team was great. Mm-hmm. We probably we had a couple guys who were college players on the Space Jam pickups, but everybody on the Dream Team was a great player. So the answer is the Dream Team. But man, because we probably had 10 to 15 NBA players at Space Jam, but then we had a couple of guys who we needed to fill out the rosters. But everybody on the Dream Team was great. So that's the answer.
Final answer.
Yes.
I love that. It's so nice to meet you. I'm so happy that we were able to connect, and I really thoroughly appreciate you taking the time to hop on the Sessions podcast with me.
Well, no, I really appreciate you reaching out. Give my best to you, man.
I will.
Hopefully we'll get to meet in person sometime, both of you guys.
Yeah.
But man, I'm proud of him. And listen, thanks for reaching out. Be safe.
Yeah, you too. And good luck with everything. Happy birthday when it's coming up, and enjoy that retirement when the time comes.
I appreciate it.